Planning for the new Patterson Visitors Centre began in 2018. A project development group was formed with the goal of starting construction, but unforeseen challenges were about to occur. In March of 2020, an outbreak of COVID-19 in the New York area caused Bethel to go into a full lockdown. How did the design group see Jehovah's blessing on the project during this unprecedented time?
Well, when Bethel locked down and suspended in-person meetings, so did the town of Patterson. This created a serious challenge for us to obtain the necessary approvals and to keep the project moving forward. So with the threat of falling months behind, we had to rely on Jehovah and alter our approach. So a local elder was given permission to attend the town planning board meetings in person once they opened up. He allowed us as a design team to make a presentation effectively but remotely. We saw Jehovah's hand and his blessing on this entire arrangement. So through months of meetings, we were able to get the approvals needed and then get a building permit to begin construction, all of this taking place during the lockdown.
It's so encouraging to see how Jehovah has come to our aid with supply issues and how Bethel departments have cooperated and provided skilled people to help us. It's been so encouraging.
All involved have seen Jehovah's hand guiding the way through these challenging circumstances.
What does Jehovah's hand even mean anymore? I feel like I'm losing my mind, viewers. It used to be, whenever they used this phrase, that they were at least trying. It was always at least something a bit interesting, a bit ooh, such as the claim that a typhoon delivered sand for a Kingdom Hall renovation. I won't play you the clip all over again. If Tibor is gracious, here is a thumbnail to a sushi where I talk about this incredibly flamboyant suggestion of divine intervention when it comes to Jehovah's Witness building projects. Now it seems all you need to do to claim Jehovah's hand is start a building project and have any kind of setback whatsoever and move past that setback.
So with the threat of falling months behind, we had to rely on Jehovah and alter our approach.
Oh no, imagine falling months behind with your plans for a visitor centre in the midst of a pandemic that's claiming lives, where your own followers are choking to death from a deadly pathogen. Imagine the setback of falling a few months behind with a visitor centre. That's what we're talking about now in terms of setbacks, in terms of hurdles where divine intervention is needed. What kind of God are we talking about if he can sit arms folded through a deadly global pandemic, but leap into action if there's the threat of a building project for a visitor centre being delayed by a few months?
The physical buildings at Bethel are attractive, but what's more valuable to Jehovah is what happens inside. It's the spiritual gift that he has in store for all who come to visit that is so important. The Patterson Visitors Centre is designed to be an immersive theocratic experience for everyone.
The Patterson Visitor Center will feature 3 museums and a coin display. Our feature museum will be a first-century Bible village. Key agricultural tasks such as threshing, winnowing, and grinding grain will be illustrated with interactive displays. We know you will find the exhibit components like the functioning olive press and wine press very interesting and informative. We next invite you into the residence and workshop spaces of a typical first century Israelite family. The manger, carpentry shop, weaving, and fabric dyeing displays will illustrate a number of Israelite activities. The next area of the first century Bible village that you can explore is the synagogue, which was the center of worship and study in the Jewish community. Next, a functioning pottery wheel and kiln will illustrate how pottery was made. The last stop will take you to a lakeside where you will be able to board a first century fishing boat similar to the one that Jesus and his disciples used.
So yes, roll up to the latest immersive theocratic experience, as Paul Gillies puts it. Wow, it's interesting, by the way, to see Paul Gillies being used so extensively now. Obviously, he's being well rewarded for his efforts at ICSA, the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse, where he went out to bat for the organization regarding its cover-up of child sexual abuse. And because the inquiry were very, very soft on Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sure the organization viewed his efforts as a huge success, which is why he's now on the coordinators committee of the governing body, which previously only had one governing body helper on it, John Ekron. So that's quite a big promotion, if you ask me. More about Paul Gillies in this sushi here, if Tibor is gracious, the thumbnail that is. But anyway, we have this interactive, immersive experience visitor center thingy at Patterson. Patterson is, or was, the Watchtower Educational Center, obviously in upstate New York. I have actually visited said facility, although I'm sure it's changed a lot since I visited in 2003. It's where they used to do the Gileads. It's where you could argue that the video making capability of Jehovah's Witnesses first got up and running. They used to have a building out back where they used to make their videos. And of course, now they have, entire sound stages at Mount Ebo for all that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure the legal office is based at Patterson. So it's quite a significant facility for Jehovah's Witnesses. And it seems the governing body really want to get on this Answers in Genesis bandwagon. In fact, I found it interesting. They said that they started the planning phase for this visitor center in 2018. Ken Ham's Answers in Genesis Ark Encounter opened in 2016. So it's almost as though the governing body have seen this essentially Bible-based theme park open that's been financed and built by creationists, and they've thought, oh, we'll have a slice of that action. It may be preposterous to build an ark, which in Ken Ham's case is populated by dinosaurs. It may be ludicrous or even controversial to do something like that, but we can make a Bible village and call it a museum, even if it means asking our volunteers to make a synagogue.
The next area of the first century Bible village that you can explore is the synagogue.
Yes, come and explore our fake synagogue. Our fake place of Jewish worship, which we had our volunteers making during a global pandemic. During, indeed, the last of the last days. That's going to be an interesting conversation in the new system, isn't it? If the Jehovah's Witness paradise were to be realized, including all the pandas and watermelons, you would have potentially a conversation between a Bible character and a Jehovah's Witness who was working on the visitor center, where the Bible character would say, "So tell me all about what it was like right at the end. You were there in the last of the last days. What were you doing? How exciting it must have been." Yes, it was very exciting. As I recall, right at the end, I was involved in a building project at Patterson. Wow, you were there at Patterson? What were you building? I was building a... You were building a what now? A visitor center. I was building a visitor center. A visitor center? In the last of the last days, right before Armageddon, people need to be warned that their lives may soon end, and you're building a visitor center. What part of the visitor center were you building? A synagogue. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat yourself? A synagogue. Yeah, one more time. A synagogue. I came to Patterson because they needed help with their visitor center, and the part of the visitor center that I built was a fake synagogue. Oh, well, that's a bit weird. Still, I suppose it could be worse. I mean, you were living in the last days and you were giving of your time freely for Jehovah's service at a time in the world's history when many people could only think about one thing and one thing alone: money. I also worked on the coin display